I don't know. I feel like it would be very stressful to be getting into that much drama all the time. But when I see like Hans go after people, like a huge part of that's in my head is like, Hans, what are you doing, dude? You've got such a good soft soul. Like, why are you doing this? And it seems crazy. But then I also see um, how I also admire it when I see him defending someone who can't defend themselves, right? And see how brave it is. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to be like insanely critical of it. But I just don't think we should be critical of Heem
Oh,
for being more cautious.
all right, you have 5 minutes.
I don't think that's gonna happen. So I don't. If you get out of that, if you somehow make me take 5 minutes, that's crazy.
All right, so hit me with it. What did you think of the whole conversation? Then what's wrong with Canadians where they can't see my point of view?
Okay, one second. Let me take a few sips of coffee.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'm gonna do it. Okay, the big thing. There's two things that are. I mean, first of all, I was kind of joking about the cultural differences, but it's also kind of real. Um, there's there's a reason why like Heem and I tend to handle drama very similarly, and I think on average, though Keffels is Canadian, so that might be an argument against that. But I would say like most Canadian streamers I meet, like we tend to handle conflict in a similar way, which is de-escalation. Like it's like instinctual, um, and that's because Canadians, I think in general, like there's a culture of valuing harmony. Um, as like this concept of good, whereas like, and it'll seem, and I totally understand why like a lot of people can see that as you being a pussy, and maybe you are kind of being a pussy, but it's not because as simple as like being a coward, but it's about like seeing the overall benefit, not just in terms of like someone being greedy for their career, but just like having a more larger, less narrow view of that person and of the potential the potential that you might be incorrect, right? And that like burning a bridge, like there's so many times that I would say like 90% of the times that I've gone after someone, like online in a public space, I've regretted it. And a lot of times I regretted it because sometimes I found out that I was incorrect before. And once you say something on the internet, it's there forever. Um, and so there's like this huge risk to putting something out there. So it's like, and with burning bridges, it's literally you're burning a bridge. So what happens if like that person is a really good person, but they made a mistake and you're burning a bridge over that? I think like you have a tendency, and not just you, like a lot of people in this space have a tendency to um, want to burn bridges just much more quickly than I would feel more comfortable with,
Sure. And
right? And
again,
that's like you're right, but
just to be like ultra clear again,
yeah,
like I really do like want to be ultra clear that I definitely misspoke when I said burn, like you need to burn bridges. I don't think that you need
okay,
to burn bridges. I think that what I'm trying to say is that like at a certain point, someone's behavior gets like so egregious, even if they like agree with you like broadly on like on social issues or something like that, that you kind of got to say like, okay, you're so fucked, right? And if
yeah,
like,
but Heem agrees with you that at a certain point, I am sure if there was like someone, if Destiny started or Vosh started like talking like Hitler, was like, oh, like let's do something really terrible. I don't know. And getting to that level, he would probably put his foot down. And you're probably think, oh, well, I think it's already pretty bad. And that's because you guys have just different standards. Like your standard is just much is much like I guess people need to meet less of a burden in order for you to feel like that's like that overall it's harmful. And
yeah, but
he
like,
just is going to give someone more leeway on average.
right, but it feels like step by step walking him through it, I would get like every step along the way, I would get him to agree with me on like the logical basis for like when I when I would burn a bridge with someone, or when I would say, hey, this person needs to like stop their shit, or like we can't like consider them a political ally, or if they're um, the way that they're interacting like interpersonally, like it's time to cut them off, right? Like he would agree with me every step of the way, but then when I like made the connection back to like the what I'm trying to make as close to a one-to-one comparison, right? Like he would disagree. So like for instance, like when it came to like we should
Yeah,
be
because his
telling people.
metric is different than yours. You guys have different metrics. Like that's the and I'm a moral realist, so like I would say that one metric is correct and one metric isn't. But and, but it makes sense. Like people have different metrics all the time. So um like I mean it's the basis for a ton of disagreements from people. Like your metric, that's why like the all the things that you brought up that were good reasons to dislike Hassan and Vosh, like I think that they were really good reasons. I'm pretty sure that Heem thought that they were good reasons. They're just not like good enough to make an overall judgment of them as a human being or them as a content creator and their overall contribution. Like you guys just have different metrics, like
Right, yeah, and I
you
realized
have
that I
gasoline on the fire a little, and it's useful and it's good in a lot of situations, and it actually makes me admire you in a lot of situations. But yeah, but it also, I don't know, I can see why, but it's not a way that it's not like a way that I would do it myself, because it's yeah, because my values are focused much more on harmony and giving people more leeway, I guess.
I would
I think you
I think I
yeah,
used to
you have
be
less
much
room
more
for
like
shit.
that. Well, I think I used to be much more like that. But I think that what I started seeing was people take advantage of that like level of charitability that I would give people.
Yeah.
And maybe like not directly because like to me, right? But like I'm being charitable and then like people like me are being charitable towards them and then they can get a little bit more extreme and we're like, okay, well we can still be charitable. But like I don't know. It feels like it kind of feels like to me the equivalent to for this cutoff, right? Like he said, like I would have to see them like say, okay, we need to start killing Republicans, like explicitly, right? Would be his cutoff. It feels like
I
all
don't
the
think that was
things.
his cutoff. I think it would be that, because I don't think Vosh literally said that. I think there was the accusation that there is like an implication that he's like he's there's like an implicit thing
It
that
is.
he's
It is.
right.
The implication
Yeah,
is like
but
so
I think Heem
dripping
would
with
be
his
okay.
intentions.
Yeah, but I think Heem would be okay if it wouldn't need to be literal. But if like the implicit there is if it's there for more than 50%, like of the content, if that takes over on average like the content, then that says something. It's like that's what I would say. That's when I judge, like, say, like, I don't know, for example, the men's rights movement. If you like looked at I've no issue with men's rights, and I have no issue with, and there's tons of issues that men have, right? But if you go to like an r/MRA subreddit, like more than 50% of it is not about like
Self
the issues
improvement
that men
for
are
a
dealing
way
with. It's
that
about how
yeah.
much we hate women, right? So that says something about it. So it's like, and it's fine. I think it's okay to have a different metric.
Of course,
And
it's okay to have a different
yeah,
metric. It's just like I find it confusing when I feel like even if my threshold is much lower, right? And there are people who have a threshold significantly lower than mine. I consider myself like overly charitable, right? Like I know that you wouldn't consider that, but like I feel like I'm like significantly more charitable than people like similar to me, right?
I
Um,
don't think you're charitable. I think you're charming. You know, I would
Oh, I
say charming,
appreciate that.
not
Charming,
charitable.
these are completely different qualities.
Yeah, but I think I think like you're very charismatic. You've got like you're really good at making friends. I don't know anyone who's met you and didn't like you, right? But I think that's different than being charitable, right? Like because as you mentioned, you're concerned about being charitable because you feel like people often take advantage of it, which I would agree with. Um, is probably like a shitty
Uh,
consequence of it.
Well,
I think the
I would
reason
look at someone like fuck, I don't know if I necessarily want to say names. Fuck it, I'll say names. Like I feel like people like I could look at someone like Demon Mama, I could look at someone like Hans of Harkir, I could look at someone like Cherry, and I would say that their threshold for acceptable levels of disagreement are like significantly lower than mine, right? Just to pull from people that are lefties and like centrists or like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
sure. Yeah, that's
and
true.
and
Definitely cherry.
yeah, and I I don't necessarily think that they're wrong for that, right? And I can see where they're coming from. Which is why I've always seen myself as like as charitable as someone can be. Like it is like it pains me when I'm like, I understand where they're coming from here. Maybe we shouldn't shit on them that hard. Meanwhile, Chad is like going like ultra fucking hard on me for not like making like an ultimate like condemnation of them. Like I understand
Yeah,
how
but
that
Chad's gonna
feels,
do
right?
that, right? Because Chad,
Yeah,
they're
of
there
course,
to be
right? But I'm not gonna
entertained.
and I'm not gonna like sit there and like cave to chat because chat is all like full of like retards and children who don't know how to interact with people like ever, right? So like I'm not gonna like sit there and like intentionally burn bridges because I know it's gonna play well with chat. Um, which is why like I know I misspoke when I said that to Heem. Um, but like if I think that there's a problem with how charitable I am, and like I've already like lowered my threshold of as low as I can possibly make it, right? Um, like I can't imagine being more
I don't think it's
charitable
as
than me.
possible. The problem is you're comparing yourself to people like Cherry and Hans,
Well, I'm
who
just like
both,
looking at a
right?
spectrum
And I
from
love
like,
Hans,
yeah,
but like
exactly. But like,
they're pretty extreme. So it's like, yeah, of course you're gonna look,
right, but
yeah,
I'm
pretty
looking
reasonable.
at an extreme between like Hans, Cherry, and Demon Mama, and like people who like will like boom, you're fucking done, right? Like at the drop of a fucking hat. Uh and then I look at another extreme, like Heem or you, where it's like I already consider myself like overly charitable, like to a fault, where I wish that I could be less charitable. Um, and I've worked on that. I have worked on being less charitable so I can so I can start seeing through people's bullshit. And it's really, really fucking aggravating when I can't
You
just
know, it's
like
funny.
say,
My family, my dad watches my stream, right? And he followed a bunch of the drama that was going on, and like he would sit me down at dinner and stuff, like when we would meet up, and he'd be like, like you really shouldn't be so aggro with these people. Like, why are you getting yourself into all these
someone
drama? Like,
more
you
charitable
should
than
be kinder
you.
to these people. Yeah, like
Unbelievable.
because like he
Bleeding
was
heart.
but like he thought that and like he thought that I was like too intense. Like we all have different standards of like what we're used to and what's normal and all that stuff. Like I'm sure like the cherry drama that I went through with her, like is just I don't know if you followed that.
I very,
But
very, very vaguely know that you guys had
really you
some
weren't like
shit.
100% focused. I thought it was the most exciting drama this year, but okay. Um but that's such a good example of that where like obviously like her standards are just like when you have like one conflict, right, like that's it, and she has every right to have that metric,
Yeah.
right? She probably has logical reasons for in her life like why that metric's useful for her. But I'm the like yeah, I'm just not like that at all. So when we had a conflict on Twitter, I still thought we were great, like because I'm used to arguing with my friends all the time. Like all my friends were always yelling at each other about different things. I'm disagreeing, yet like when the fire happens, I'm still gonna go run in and rescue them. But her attitude was like just totally like no, that's like you've crossed the threshold, we're done. So that's what to me like that's and we had like a totally different metric. So there was like this complete disconnect, which is why she saw me as being fake. So I think that there's like that stuff is just classic. But I don't know, like him I think the major thing with you and him is just yeah, it's just the different metrics, and there's probably like cultural reasons on
Yeah,
why
of
that's the
course. And I'm
case.
glad that we were able to like distill it down to that because like at first it felt like he was wishy-washy on things, but I like as we kept on going deeper and deeper into the conversation, especially once we hit the part with Vosh, right? Like that really like opened up like exactly what's going on. It's not necessarily just like, oh, well, he's trying to like make sure that he can network in the best way fucking possible, right? It's not that he's just like, like this Machiavellian, um, big brain, never going to burn a bridge with anyone because he doesn't want to, uh, limit future stream opportunities.
It
It's
might be part of that. Like, I'm sure that that's always in the back of a lot of our
well,
minds,
sure,
right?
I can, but
When you
I
make
can
enemies, there's consequences, right, to anyone's career.
sure, but I can separate that out with what he was
A
talking
major
about, right?
motivation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like I think that um what's the best way to say this? I think that like I can respect people who are being friendly with people so that they can continue to make content with other people, right? I do that. There are some people that I think are like either cringy or shitty or dumb as fuck, but I still maintain at least friendly enough relations with them so that I can continue making content with them because it's fun and it's content and all of that.
It's okay, you
Um,
can just say my name, alright? It's
listen,
fine.
Eris, you're one of the good ones, all right? But I don't know, like I, I disagree with like Rob Noor on like everything, but there's no reason really for me to like burn a bridge with him. I think it's like fun to talk to him sometimes. I think that like he has a good heart, even though like his fucking politics are dog shit. Um, Whereas like someone like MF Endless, who I agree with like way fucking more, I think that he is like just one of the fucking most like sleazy people in this space, right? Or like the people that are around him. Like I don't really have much of a desire uh to interact with them except for in like a hostile way because they they obviously are like so far gone. They're so far outside of what could possibly ever be either politically or like content useful that I like why the fuck would I ever talk to these people, right? And
Mhm.
it's not just like their politics, it's like their moral character, right? And I guess like I've been um more conscious of that partly because like I've been taken advantage of in the past. Like
I agree with you, I judge people on that shit
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so like
so
that's what the conversation started off as, right? But then I realized he's not doing like he's not looking at their
I
moral
just think that
character,
he's
right?
judged them to be good, you know?
Right,
I
right,
think, like,
right.
that
And
he's
see,
also
I can look at
yeah.
Vosh and I can say like he's probably a good person in terms of like he probably does want the best for people. Like I could probably like if if I knew him in real life or something like that, I could probably play D&D with him or drink with him and shit like that. But like online in terms of like the space that we're in, like his behavior is like unfucking believable. Right? Same thing with Keffels, same thing with the MF group, whatever like we would call them. Like,
Problem is when I look at,
yeah,
like, bad behavior in this space, it feels like finding, like, a needle in a haystack, like, it just feels like there's so much bad behavior, it's so hard to determine which one is worse than the other and who started what. And like who threw the first punch because like and this is something that I've been thinking about lately is like the cycle of drama. It feels very much like a cycle of violence, just like an online version or like a cycle of bullying where like you see people and I see this like when I see two people that I like getting into conflict um and they both feel very justified in their anger and in a lot of ways they are both are very justified um but it's like it takes so much work to figure out like who was the person that was particularly the instigator, but maybe it's because they thought the other person was the instigator, but it was just a miscommunication. But then they both actually have legitimate issues with one another because they
right.
both
But
did
then I
shit to
would
one another.
but then I would only look at like the actions, right? Like the way that people react to things is very, very, very important to me, right? So
Look at
like
the but look at the actions of a lot of people that like I really think that like look how someone could frame Destiny. Like if you and I both I'm pretty sure you like Destiny, right?
yeah,
You do?
yeah.
Okay, you hesitated on
No, no,
would you
no.
like me to go into?
I said
Um
it first, all right? I said it first. You just weren't listening.
I so I've gotten tons of hate for saying that I like Destiny, but like it's like there's a different um but he's also done a lot of fucking really shitty things. And I'm sure he could also say I've said a lot of really dumb things. So but I think like I look at him as like I look at overall as like a person. I see him how he handles himself behind the scenes, which I have a lot of respect for him for. He's and I see like how he talks to like smaller streamers. Like I calculate, I guess, in my head like a bunch of these other factors,
I
and
guess what I
overall,
yeah,
and yeah, and overall, like I come to a conclusion that I still like him, even if I see him as like this like flawed person. But a lot of people don't come to that conclusion. I think that's okay, to be honest, right? Because it just means that they're like their
I don't
metric is
care if
just like a
people
little
yeah,
different.
I don't care if someone likes someone or dislikes someone. I care about like I guess like if I were to look at if we were like keep talking about Destiny, I would look at his behavior like publicly and privately, and it's exactly the fucking same every single fucking time. Met him in real life, exactly the same way in real life, right? And I try to like live that as well. I want to also like present as authentic a person on stream as I am off stream, and not be you know snaky or anything like that. Um,
Really, you don't think that there's a version like of you that's still authentic that you present to the world, but there's still versions that you keep private, right? For pretty rational reasons. Like there's nothing like that. Like there's
can you
not
give me an
stuff that you'd say
example?
privately that you wouldn't say publicly. I don't know, like when someone's asking what's your opinion on someone, and say it's just you and I hanging out privately, right? And you just mention, I don't know, like I think they can be kind of like an asshole sometimes, and I heard they're a pedo, right? Like maybe you'd say that privately, but you probably think twice before you said that publicly, because you'd realize that of like that there's a higher risk, and there's a higher responsibility that comes with saying something publicly.
I think that there's a difference between like asking in private, like if allegations are true, right? Like, I think this guy's a really cool dude, but someone said that he was like a pedo. Like, is that true? Right? Whereas, like, I wouldn't even ask that question on stream because then that spreads that that characterization of that person, right? But I think that that's different than being like authentic, right? I think
But
that
I
I
think that
can,
that's the difference that I see with most people here. There are some people where I see them as being like insanely different, like behind closed doors, but it's like few and far between. And then there are types of people that they act differently with different people as well, like
yeah,
they're
and
just manipulative.
I think that I don't even know if it's manipulative. I think that before I saw interactions like I did in this space over the past 2.5 years, um, I probably would have looked at myself and like been like, what a fucking cuck. Why the fuck is he not like standing up for what he believes, right? And it's mostly due to
I
a
always
lack.
think the opposite of myself.
Really? See,
Like, why did I get so mad? Why did I cause this drama? Why was I dumb? Like the empanada thing that I got into. Like I look back, it's funny that whole situation started initially with him going after Heem and I, and Heem responds to it way more intelligently than I did. Like, he ignores it. He's like, and it was thought out. Like he and I chatted about it. He decided to ignore it, and I was too stubborn. And I thought, because I was mad about the principle, so I went after it and I paid the price for it. So like, and that fucking sucked. So it's like there's sometimes it's not just as simple as being a coward, but it's just being like intelligently strategic about where you're
no,
going to
sure.
put
I
your
think that
energy.
that's fine, right? What I'm talking about is recognizing the I I think when you talk about strategically, I don't know how much it feels like the bystander effect almost, right? Because like I wouldn't want to be the person that like um
Oh yeah, it could be
tries
for
to
sure.
be like, well, I don't want to expend my energy on this because like I don't know like if like this is gonna end up being bad, et cetera, et cetera. Um I wouldn't want to be the person that like stays out of it and then once like everybody else has like the same opinion or like has like once like all of the um
Well,
what's
yeah,
the way
everything
I
is a
yeah.
double-sided coin. I actually the thing that you mentioned is something that I'm always trying to remind myself of. Like I remember Destiny talked about like the type of, and this is something I thought it was a very poignant point. where he said that there's a type of kindness that's like pseudo kindness, where it's like you're nice to everyone, but it's almost like you've let, I don't know if you use this analogy, but like but you'd also be like nice to the Nazis as they let the Jews walk into the gas chamber, you know? Um, and that stuff's not real kindness. And so, like, that's something I think that's always been my struggle to know, like, where am I just not getting involved in drama, and being
And
like,
where am I being like,
and where am I being like a coward and a bystander and letting someone do something awful to someone else?
yeah, and I think that uh, I think that the Prime drama was like a big wake up for that, right?
Yeah.
For like most of the people that are like reasonably sized in this space. Um, I I think that at that time, um, I was uh uncritical of anything. Like the allegations came out, I immediately was like, Lamau, fuck Prime, right? And
Yeah.
then you
Haha, I
know,
was right about that one.
and
Suck
then
on it.
yeah, and then like a couple of hours in, I have like a couple of people message me with more information, and I started to realize, oh shit, well there's a little bit more to this, right? And then a couple of hours later, I was like, okay, Prime didn't do anything wrong, right? But I'd already like come out with this like insanely fucking like safe take that like Kat had just been sexually harassed and stalked by Prime, and it was like Prime was like this horrible person. His career's over, and like we were all content brain taking the safe route and like making jokes and
Mhm.
shit and waiting for his response stream. But even like by the time his response stream came out, like it was like I had already like been given all the other information. And I think that and a couple of other situations, I would have to think about like which ones they were, um, really made me think like, holy shit, I'm being a fucking pussy coward bitch, and I am only going with what the popular narrative is, right? And I'm picking that based off of, like what I think is going to get me the least hate.
This is
And
like your coming of age story. It's kind of
yeah, I
beautiful.
know, right? And all
Yeah.
because of Twitch. Twitch saved my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and so I guess like as I try and get better about that and not being cucked to um being nice to people like at all points or being like ultra charitable, right? Like I think that the level of charity that I give is probably more than I would like to do, but I don't think I can like just like me and my personality and like my family that in the way that they raised me, I don't think I can be less charitable or less nice, right? If I get to the point where I'm like yelling at someone or being shitty to someone, like they well deserve it because I have a massive amount of fucking patience, right? Like
I don't know, Sondsol. I've seen you get some real aggro, particularly on Twitter. Like,
okay, Twitter's
least
different.
the
Okay,
list.
Twitter's
What do you mean? Why is it
significantly
different?
why is
I
it
agree, it brings out the worst in all of us, but
no,
it's
because
still kind
like
of different.
I think that on Twitter, it is so there's like multiple things. Number one, it's much easier to get frustrated because you're limited to 280 characters and you have to like people will like just like virtue signal and you'll get frustrated because you're trying to give like a nuanced take and then like you're like, okay, well, this would be easier in a voice call. Uh Especially if they're like a streamer or something, and they'll say, Lamau, no, cope and see debate, bro. And then at that point I'm like, okay, retard. All right, you subhuman low IQ piece of shit.
Okay,
Like that's
do
where
you
I'm
ever
at.
get concerned that you might not be seeing the full picture of someone? Like you're seeing, say like you are correct and you're seeing a bad version of
I
them,
see the
but like
picture that they put out to the world.
that that's not what the picture is objectively. Like with
I
the
can't
picture that
ever
you're
like
seeing,
even
there
with
can be
you.
like a more
I think that you're one of the most genuine people in this space. I would like I said earlier there aren't very many people in this space that I would actually consider friends that I could like consult about something. You would be one of those people because I think I can trust you
yeah.
and that you always put out who you are, right? I feel like I have a macro image of you that is like that leads me to think you are trustworthy, right? If but like I can't pry open your head and see if you're actually some Machiavellian, like dark triad evil person who's just like manipulating me with my my charitable self that's like looking
I
at you in that way, right?
I used to be like that as a teenager.
Machiavellian?
Yeah, I was
I
like
can see that.
sociopathic.
You seem like a reformed sociopath. Which is why I like you. All right. I'm someone I was an empath and now I'm trying to be a sociopath. So I think
We're like
that
on opposite journeys.
yeah. Uh so I think that I can't pry open someone's brain and look at it. All I can go off of is their behavior, right? Um, if they're not willing to show any amount of like good faith behavior, if they're not willing to, uh, if they're not willing to like show that part of them that's worth being charitable towards, then how the fuck am I ever supposed to be charitable to them, right? Like,
Because it's about humility. It's about thinking, okay, I, as like a person with, emotions and faults, and the only thing that I have to go off of are like my eyes and my nose and blah blah blah, like the of my like my senses. I I only have so much that this person is giving me, and so if I hear like if you hear one perspective on something, um, there's so much more to that story. So it seems silly to make like this huge judgment and to jump to this conclusion to the point where you're being mean to someone, where you're maybe getting to the level of bullying them, or I guess you said not burning bridges, but just like having major conflict with them to the level of having a lot of stress and all of that kind of stuff for both parties.
sure, but I
Um,
think that
it
like
seems like that's a big like jump. Like I feel like a I try. There are tons of people that I've had like say like a bad thought come in my head like about I don't know about something that they've done, but I don't go like aggro on them. And the reason is because like I don't know what happened to them today. Like I don't know
sure.
what got them to that point. I don't know like what else they've done that also makes them a really great person. Like there's so much complexities that go to making like a human being.
I think that's really
So
easy to do for me personally. But also, I think that if someone is going to come at me in a way that is either to harm my reputation or to like come at me in some way that's like beyond what I can just like ignore. I'll match their energy, right? Do the full Destiny memes, match their energy. And I think that as long as I'm just like matching energy, I don't think that there's anything else I can do other than be the fucking punching back that I was before when I was like being ultra charitable to fucking Chaos's Mel and yelling at my chat for like um being hard on her when I thought, me being ultra charitable, saying I thought that she had already like been pretty clear about being saying that there wasn't uh or there was a Uyghur genocide or what the fuck ever. Right? Or like a million other like instances, or like with Lady Rain, who like I banned people from my chat for like telling me to like
yeah, you were very nice to her.
yeah, I was what too nice. I was too nice, right? And she probably has a whole bunch of like crazy shit that happens to her, right? She's trans, right? She has like all these issues with whatever the fuck's going on in her life, right? But like every single time we talked, she would go
I mean,
aggro on me and I'd be ultimately nice to
she'd hang
her.
out in your chat every day. So there were like a lot of chances. This wasn't like a one off or an occasional interaction. And
Right,
so
that's what
like
I'm
when you're
saying.
talking about someone like Vosh or Hassan, um, the so for example, like I really hate
I can't
Hassan's
speak to
Israel take.
Hassan, all right, because I don't
Okay,
know enough
sorry,
about
Vosh.
him. Yeah,
Okay,
you're fine.
we'll use Vosh as an example. So Vosh has a reputation behind closed doors, like as of being number one, being super professional, right? Which I mean, I know viewers don't care about, but it's really nice, right? And he's also has a reputation for being incredibly supportive to smaller creators when they're going through shit. That's
Sure.
actually how him and Keffels became close, even though he has tons of criticisms for Keffels, because he knew what it was like to have like the whole world hate you or to feel like that. and he was like, supportive to her and all of that kind of stuff. And to this day, that's actually how she defends, because a ton of lefties actually hate Vosh, right? And so that's how she defends um, her relationship with him, saying that like, oh, like you guys don't see like the good stuff that he does and all that kind of stuff. And there's another side of that coin where it's like, yeah, that's also what people say about abusers, right? And let them get away with their abuse. Like, oh, like he's nice on Sundays. So it's just like you might. So whenever, so if you and I disagree on, where that metric is going to be on a person, I don't know. Like, it's like I don't believe in God. I feel like only like a God is going to know like who's correct at the end of the day. We're just kind of
Sure.
making educated guesses, and I'm, I guess, being less what's the word I'm looking for? But
Judgmental.
I'm more wary and more skeptical of being judgmental, and that has negative consequences. Um, and you're less wary, but you're also more than I don't know, like someone like a chair, like a Hans. Like one of the and I don't know, it's like it's hard for me to, even though I don't know, I feel like it would be very stressful to be getting into that much drama all the time. But when I see like Hans go after people, like a huge part of that's in my head is like, Hans, what are you doing, dude? Like you've got such a good soft soul. Like, why are you doing this? And but then I also and it seems crazy, but then I also see um how I also admire it when I see him defending someone who can't defend themselves, right? And see how brave it is. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to be like insanely critical of it. But I just don't think we should be critical of Heem,
Oh, I
for being more cautious,
well,
and being
to
more
be clear, I
skeptical.
think that being critical is fine. I that's why I was trying to uh I couldn't be mad at him because I understood where he was coming from, right? Which is why I didn't
Mm.
like I did I was frustrated, but like it wasn't like the like super angry frustrated that I've been with other people that I started off like chill with, right? That were just like absolutely outside of the realm of understanding. Um I I don't know. I think that being I don't think that like seeking out conflict constantly is something that I ought do. Um, I think that at the beginning of the year I was much worse about this. But like since like I guess like March, I think I've been a little bit less about it. Like seeking it out. Usually it's come to me. And I don't know like if let's say in a position where like I'm being like attacked by someone. I have no fucking clue who this person is, but they continue to attack me like for a couple of days or like over the course of like a couple of weeks. Like they attack me like 2 or 3 times. Like how charitable do I have to be to someone like that, right? Like if there's someone that is ultra like they think that they're absolutely in the right and that my politics are wrong. I'm ontologically evil, right? Um, and they're like making Nazi flags, just like
I think you're
like
seeing this as a fairness in a battle situation. I'm thinking of myself more individually, like, and like what kind of person am I going to be, rather than what's like fair considering them, you know?
yeah,
I'm
I
also
think
thinking
that
about like the overall harmony.
I just don't think I can be harmonious with people like that. I don't know, like it's something for me to consider, but like I
Well, I
also
mean,
like
sometimes I agree with you. Like sometimes there's people that I have gone after. Like there's obviously like I've had conflicts with people and stuff. I feel like I have been in tons of drama, um, which is
but you always win.
frustrating.
That's the difference, right?
I don't think I I don't think I always win. Um, but I don't know, like it's a tough situation because a lot of times I've looked back, like okay, so I went after Bad Bunny like near when I started streaming. Um, and I still think my criticisms of her takes on Jews and Israel and stuff were correct. So I don't like change my mind about that. Um, and I do think that a lot of stuff that she streams can be really irresponsible, or whatever her name is now.
Mm.
But later, I found out that the person that went after me, I don't want to say his name, that he also went after her, and he went after her really badly. Like there was like this whole thing. It was like before I was in the space, um, and I found out more, and I found out that she's actually particularly supportive to a lot of like the women behind the scenes, like who she's actually. And not all female streamers are like that. And she's also like done some really kind things for some people. And it's like, okay, maybe I wouldn't save you from a fire, okay? Which I would for a lot of people, but like it made me really regret going after her, especially now that I thought about it, she never went after me back. Like it was almost like she just completely stood above it. And I look back, it's like, why did I get myself dirty like that? You
I
know?
think, yeah,
Like,
but like I can agree with that, right? But if I think that it's about starting shit with someone or like holding someone to account, right? I think like it depends on like what you mean by going after someone. But I think that like if I were to like critique another political commentator's their political take, right? I don't know if I would consider that going after them. But I would say like if I were to like at them and like say like you're a fucking sarcastic terrorist and you need to delete your channel and I like do this
I
multiple
called her
times.
I called her a crypto.
A crypto fash?
Yeah.
Well,
So I would say like calling someone like names or just making assumptions about them, or because anything you say as a streamer, because she made a tweet saying that I sent my followers after her. And this is when I first started streaming, and I was like, "What the fuck? I never told my followers to go after her." And of course, soon, and the thing is that I'm sure that some of my followers did hop in her VC and start being shitty with her, being like debater or blah blah blah. And uh, like I doubt she was lying about that. And I learned very quickly that as a content creator, and as a streamer, right, who you develop some kind of like relationship with your viewers and stuff, when you talk negatively about someone, it's not like when you talk shit about someone to your friends privately, right? When you're saying it in this public sphere, there is going to be a certain portion of people that go and act on what you say to an extreme level. And
for sure.
so,
I
like,
think that
that's why,
into consideration like the
yeah,
public response is like definitely something that should be taken into consideration for sure.
yeah. And so, like, that's made me a lot more conservative before I go after someone publicly, right? Or before I like tweet something or something like that. Uh, just recognizing that there can be like a domino like effect, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well I do have to go. I do have to eat food. So
No, Sondsol, you're not allowed. So,
what are you gonna
did I
do?
not tell you it was not going to be 5 minutes? Do I win money for that?
Well, no, because you didn't make a bet. So that's
God
on
damn
you
it.
for deciding not to do that. Hey, everybody, we're rating into friend of the stream and possibly community leader, Watsaku. All right. Everybody, if I don't see, listen, if I don't see a bunch of fucking follow notifications go off when we rate into him, I'm going to find you and I'm going to give you a really big hug and I'm going to tell you that you were wrong for that and that you should reconsider your actions in the futures because I am a empathetic and good faith and charitable person. All right. So we're rating into Watsaku. He's very fucking funny. All right. Stick around in his stream. All right. And spam my emotes at him. All right. Love you guys. Bye bye. All right. Get the fuck off my call, Eris.
Okay, bye, Sondsol.
All right.
I
Bye.
hope you choke on food. Yeah,
I'll
bye.
try. Bye.